Okay, so it goes without saying that Elon Musk is a whimsical CEO. The list of his fantasies and declarations has grown even longer since he established himself as one of the most charismatic business leaders in the whole world. For some reason, he always finds himself in the heart of every major event, which at the moment is the Russia-Ukraine war. The CEO of Tesla and SpaceX has already multiplied his gestures of support for Ukraine, which Russia invaded more than 2 weeks ago. He's applied his brand not just to Tesla cars, but to cryptocurrency and politics. So the question is, what has Elon Musk said or done this time? Since Russia invaded Ukraine on February 24th, the businessman has established himself as one of the most fervent supporters of the Ukrainians. The business leader, born in South Africa, notably sent Starlink terminals, manufactured by his other company, SpaceX, to enable Ukrainians to continue to access the internet despite Russian bombardments. He also sent generators to continue to supply electricity to towns destroyed by the Russian army and never ceased to send words of support to Ukraine. Tesla will also continue to pay its Ukrainian employees in the Europe, Mideast, Africa region who are conscripted. Well, the impact of the Russian invasion of Ukraine is huge. It has caused hundreds of deaths and displaced millions of people. Negotiators from Russia and Ukraine met again on March 14th for another round of talks aimed at finding a way out of the war, even as Russia forces broadened their devastating offensive and the Kremlin insisted that it would not pull back until all plans for the invasion are fulfilled. But then it's clear that many people are against the war. So just maybe the negotiations might eventually pay off. Now, Musk wants to find a way out of this conflict. In a series of tweets on March 14th, he appears to have an idea which sounds like dueling, a 15th century practice tied to the question of honor. The billionaire has launched a challenge to Russian President Vladimir Putin. He offers himself in a fight whose stake would be Ukraine. To dispel any doubt in people's minds, Musk posted another tweet while tagging the Kremlin, in which he insists in Russian by asking if the Kremlin agrees to the fight. The tweet has shaken social media, where various people wonder whether Musk is serious. And considering that it's about real people suffering, some Twitter users have questioned if Elon Musk has thought this through. But Elon Musk answered that he is absolutely serious. Well, we all know Musk is someone who plays by his own rules. We don't really know what he's up to since he didn't give details of the form this fight would take. In the 15th century, the duel was a regulated fight attached to the question of honor. Nobles could fight with swords or spears, while ordinary people fought with sticks. One fan replied to Elon Musk's tweet where he said that the fight would be over in 10 seconds and that it would just depend on how much damage Elon would want to do and how fast. Another Musk fan replied with a graph comparing the physical build of the businessman and Putin, while stating that Elon is also 19 years younger. In a nutshell, this is just people on Twitter taking the duel literally. But we all know that it's more than just a fistfight. Musk later claimed that he did manage to throw the world champion sumo wrestler, but at the cost of smashing a disc in his neck that caused high, insane back pain for 7 years. This came as another participant republished an article touting his martial arts skills. So the duel obviously didn't escape the Ukrainian authorities. The Vice Prime Minister Mikhailo Fedorov proposed to Musk to send Putin to Jupiter. This news apparently caught the eye of Ramzan Kadyrov, head of the Chechen Republic, who said in a Telegram post that Musk would need to undergo extensive training before he would be prepared to defeat Putin. That exchange became a bit charged by Kadyrov referring to Musk as Ilana, which is a feminization of his name throughout. Of course, that was probably meant to undermine Elon Musk's martial arts ability. These latest statements by Musk add to the billionaire's long list of controversial claims, but they also demonstrate that Musk decidedly plays by rules that he himself determines. If another CEO had made such comments, the statement likely would have caused an outcry followed by calls for the executive's resignation. And this was not the first time the tech tycoon has mocked Russian officials. When Rogozin had warned that sanctions imposed on Russia could destroy cooperation on the International Space Station and asked who would save the ISS from an uncontrolled deorbit if Roscosmos were to pull out, Musk had tweeted just with an image of SpaceX. The head of Russia's space agency suggested that the International Space Station was dependent on Russian spacecraft to stay in orbit. But SpaceX CEO Elon Musk says his own spacecraft can easily fill in to help steer the ISS away from space junk and maintain its altitude. In the thread, Rogozin points out that the Russian engines help steer the ISS in space. Then the rant took a bizarre turn as he floated the idea of dropping the ISS on our heads should the US and other participating nations kick Russia out of the ISS program. That's when Musk answered Rogozin's rhetorical question the following day, replying on Twitter by simply sharing the SpaceX logo. Russian spacecraft attached to the Russian segment of the ISS are used to adjust the flying laboratory's path and literally help keep it high enough in low Earth orbit so it doesn't fall out of the sky. With some rearranging, SpaceX Dragon capsules could serve the same purpose according to Musk and others. Rogozin is known in space circles for his caustic and mocking tone. When sanctions against Russia were announced in 2014, he suggested NASA use a trampoline to send astronauts to orbit. At the time, the U.S. was dependent on Russian Soyuz spacecraft to reach the ISS, a situation that changed with the introduction of the SpaceX Crew Dragon vehicle for crewed missions. Musk responded to this barb 6 years later in 2020 after a SpaceX Crew Dragon carried NASA astronauts to the ISS for the first time. He said at a press conference after the launch that the trampoline is working while taking a dig at Rogozin. Well, NASA sent a statement via email in response to Rogozin's comments, saying the space agency continues working with all its international partners, including the state space corporation Roscosmos, for the ongoing safe operations of the International Space Station. The new export control measures will continue to allow U.S.-Russia civil space cooperation as no changes are planned to the agency's support for ongoing in-orbit and ground station operations. After NASA announced its intention to continue business as usual with Russia in orbit, Rogozin backed off his belligerent tone. So what does all this mean? Like the rest of the world, Elon Musk seems to be following the Russian war in Ukraine closely. The CEO of the luxury electric vehicle manufacturer Tesla seems to monitor access to the means of communication allowing Ukrainians not to be cut off from the world and above all to continue to tell the world about their daily life in order to avoid Russian propaganda. The billionaire thus noted that internet access had become almost impossible for many Ukrainians. A few days after having Starlink terminals sent to Ukraine, a satellite internet constellation operated by his other company SpaceX, Musk issued a dire warning. He indeed delivered bad news to many Ukrainians by announcing that there was a high probability that Starlink terminals would be targeted by malicious actors. The goal of these hackers is to prevent Ukrainians from having access to an independent, fast, and secure internet. So the genesis of calling for a duel could also include protecting his assets from being a target. We'll just wait and see how it all plays out. Let us know what you think via the comments section. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. Stay safe, and we'll see you next time.